Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cyber Drive Radio. I am here live with Ace Buchanan. How are you doing, Ace?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Awesome, awesome. So, are you ready? Because I know we've been planning this for a minute. How are you feeling?
Well, I hope people just find their way in this.
All they need is to go to the page, so they should be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also posted in the event group like, hey, make sure you're at the page, and I like tagged the page and stuff, so should be good.
Cool.
I did my best. We'll see if they do theirs. All right. So, starting off, tell the world who you are and what you do.
Yeah. I'm a Finnish synthwave producer with the project name Ace Buchannon, and I've had this project for like four years I think 4 years. And I just started this thing from basically nothing. Like I don't have a label, or I'm just a guy who decided to try the genre, like most of us have done. And I just sent one track to New Retro Wave YouTube channel, and it kind of started from there. I realized that someone actually likes this stuff.
Like someone actually likes my music, and it's like,
Yeah,
and New Retro Wave is such a iconic label for the industry and for like the genre.
yeah, especially back in 2016.
Yeah,
Uh, it was just like there were no competition at all. It was
yeah, free for
wave or
all.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. And when did you realize that you wanted to become a music artist?
Well, I've done all kinds of projects like forever, and played piano and guitar and in some bands and stuff. But this is the first like serious project. When I first heard synthwave music, I knew that it's the perfect genre for me, and I will try to make it myself. And it has become a lot bigger than than I thought, actually.
Amazing. Um, and when you first started, uh, what was the reaction? Like, what was the reaction from people who were listening to it at first versus
Well,
now?
well, at first it was only the that one YouTube video. Like I didn't have any social or anything really.
Hmm.
I had that one track, Mano a Mano.
Hmm.
It's my first Ace Buchanan track, and I just went by the comments. I was surprised that they picked the track, that uploaded it, and then I went to see the comments, kind of terrified, because maybe that's one reason people avoid uploading like their serious music.
Hmm.
Like they make some small, small fun things that are kind of not too serious, because then the feedback won't hurt you so much.
For sure.
But when you make it seriously, like the best possible music you can put out there, then the feedback is kind of gets real.
Yeah,
So
real
I was,
fast.
yeah. So I was scrolling down the comments, and they were like maybe 95% were positive, even though the mix was complete crap. I didn't know what I was doing. Like I can play the piano and guitar, but I'm not really that well. At least in 2016, I didn't know how to really mix electronic music.
Hmm.
So I've been learning that as I go.
So it kind of worked out, the fact that you already had experience with piano and guitar, and now you have a guitar. So it's a perfect, perfect
Yeah,
instrument for
yeah.
you.
I combined it, combined the two.
Yeah. And walk me through your first experience with synthwave before you started making music.
Yeah. Well, I think there was this a game called what was it? Blood Dragon, Far Cry Blood Dragon.
Yeah, Far Cry Blood Dragon. Yes.
Yeah, I think it was like 2014,
Hmm.
and I've heard some of this retro stuff before, but the soundtrack of that game and all the aesthetics and everything in it was so like
It's
it was
like,
perfect for me.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think Power Glove did the soundtrack,
Yes.
and I went. Uh, I started to research all these artists and found Mitch Murder and Laserhawk, Droid Bishop, all those kind of OG guys. All of them, I still love all of them. And then I found this video from it was made of Laserhawk's track King of the Streets.
Hmm.
It's like one of the first uploads on New Retrowave,
Hmm.
at least in the first 40 or something. And well, once I found that channel, then it was. I think I listened to all of the tracks they had on, and started to do my own track. I was like, I will try it. I will send one on this channel.
Amazing. It's such like an addiction, and I totally relate because, for you it was Far Cry Blood Dragon, and then me, I came a little bit later, and it's kind of the opposite situation. I started playing Monster Hunter World, and I was like, I like this, but I feel like something could go so much better with it. And then I was like, let me find the Far Cry Blood Dragon soundtrack and try and pair it together. And so I did. And then I started making a playlist to listen to while I was playing because Spotify and the PlayStation have an integration system where you can listen to a playlist while you're playing. And so from there, I just got all these suggestions. So like the same thing, like Droid Bishop, Perturbator, like all of these amazing synthwave artists, and I just made this. I made this playlist, and we talked about my cheesy playlist names. And this one was
Yeah,
called.
you sent me that one.
I sent you a different one. I have
Okay.
literally like maybe 5 separate synthwave dedicated playlists. This one I named Beast Hunter Mode. Like I'm such a dork, I swear. But yeah, no, video games are definitely like it's like the gateway drug to synthwave for me. And it seems like for a lot of people because it like
Yeah,
start. Yeah, go ahead.
I think synthwave is really close to gaming and the gamer community. It just basically it's soundtrack music.
It really is. And like there's Twitch streamers that are dedicated to that, like Dr. What's his name? You might know him.
Disrespect.
Yes, Dr. Disrespect. His whole like
Actually,
he's kicked off
actually,
now. So
yeah, I have 2 of my tracks on his channel.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
so
it was
awesome.
actually one of my goals. So,
That's so cool that you have like these goals that like
yeah,
you know
yeah, I've been following him. I like his style. He's really entertaining.
he is really entertaining. I was like, I never really sat back and watched it. And then like I had just gotten finished with like a meeting the other week, and then I just sat back and started watching him whenever he would go on Fortnite and there would be kids joining his chat.
Yeah. Those are the best ones. Yeah.
Those are the best ones. So who would you say influenced you the most musically?
In this genre, I would say Mitch Murder.
Yeah.
I think, especially the style I did on the first album, Magenta Nights. It's the kind of the classic Outrun, Mitch Murder, Phaserland, Laserhawk. Well, all those OG guys, I think. But I think I added my own kind of spin to it. Like, my strength is in melodies, like leads and stuff. because it comes from the guitar and piano.
Right.
I can't. I'm not an electronic music producer.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's. I've had to learn that stuff on top of the like chords and melodies and music theory, which was the base where I'm coming from.
Right.
But yeah, I felt closest to the Mitch Murder style of synthwave when I started.
Yeah, and it's like when it comes to not only being influenced by like a particular artist, you found your own way and you found your own avenue into how you wanted to sound like. So, uh,
Yeah,
oh, go ahead.
I think that's if you're a producer, that's super important that you at least after your initial release find your own sound.
Absolutely.
Like you have to put in your influences. Like everyone has their unique set of influences and what they like, and you should just put it out there 100% and not think about is this popular or is this trendy now or anything, because then you can find that following that likes your sound and they can't actually find that particular sound from anywhere else. So if you just try to sound like say Perturbator, uh, then you're just a poor man's
A poser.
purple
Just say it.
band.
Just,
Yeah, yeah,
just say it. A poser.
yeah.
We
So
know you're thinking it.
you have to do your own thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And what struggles did you face coming up as a music artist, and that you face right now?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned, one is that everyone has that struggle. Like I know super talented guys and girls who haven't released anything because they think their first release has to be perfect. And that's a very common pitfall. And then it happens that you just polish that one one release forever and
Mm-hmm.
probably won't even release it. So one struggle is to get over that. I think it's egoic thing. Like you want it to be perfect and you only want to get good feedback, or else you will feel like a failure or something. So that's the
Right.
first initial struggle. And after that comes that you start to compare your sound and mixes to, well, say, Mitch Murder, who sounds like amazing. His mixes are best in the, well, best in the genre, I think. So if you put it next to your mono track on retro layer, that can be really impressive.
Right.
But you just have to remember that in 1 or 2 years, your mix will sound way better than your first one. Like I sometimes come back to that YouTube version of Mano a Mano because I remixed and remastered it multiple times before it was released on the album. But New Retrowave still has the first version.
You're like, oh.
Yeah, so if you want to hear really crappy, muddy, narrow, I don't know, voltage mix, then go and listen to that one.
Right.
And well, the struggles are endless. We could spend all this
We could.
40
We could.
minutes. Yeah, because then
So,
there's the social media, and everyone can see your numbers. And some people go to that thing where they compare their following and stream counts and all that stuff with others, and it can get really nasty.
for sure. For sure. The comparison game and the vanity metrics don't serve anybody.
Yeah.
And what would you say would be the struggles that would you say typically it's social media right now? Is there anything else that might be like hindering your creativity or your normal flow, or is it actually increased because of the pandemic?
Pandemic hasn't affected it at all, I think.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think so. I
Is
can
it about
still
the
go out.
same?
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah,
Gotcha, gotcha. And
only the
yeah,
live shows
only
are
live
with.
shows, right? Obviously, and like I had some discussions lately about the virtualization of the concert experience and like where that could potentially go. The more that technology is advancing, and like every day people are starting to like either come up with their own ideas of how to go around it, and like pairing up or collaborating with others. And like it makes me wonder how these concert halls are going to manage or what they're going to do, because it's like ideally you could have like a band show up, film it, and live stream it even at a concert hall, and I don't
Yeah,
really
yeah,
see a lot of that.
yeah. Something like that has happened already.
Yeah,
We did in May, sort of a, well, it wasn't a venue or anything, but we
it
did
looked
this
like
sort
one.
of, yeah, we did it like it was this kind of an experience, like not just the live shows, because let's face it, it's not that exciting to perform or watch a performance when it's just through a
Yeah.
camera and the internet connection. So we added some scripts and characters and stuff in it. The Helsinki Sin City people, Millennium Falk and Lewinsky and Glowline. Uh, and yeah, I think the venues have to start innovating,
They have to find some
come
way.
up with some new, maybe virtual reality or augmented reality or stuff like that, because they are
Yeah.
going down.
Yeah, I actually like reached out to one and I don't know exactly where they were located. I think they just ended up somewhere on my feed. I was like, "Hey, I'm going to like ask them a question." And I'm like, "Yeah, I was wondering if you wanted to talk about the future of your
Yeah,
current situation." And I kind of felt like an asshole because I'm just like, "Hey, how are you going to stop like fucking around?" Like actually find like something different or something that you can do. But I came about it in like a genuine way where it's like I really am curious about where this is going, and I think a lot of other people are too. So like innovation is happening faster than ever because of the like pandemic stuff.
yeah. Maybe you could do something like you don't have to rent that huge venue, that physical space. You can just put up a green screen in a decent size
Yeah, that
room.
way they're not losing money.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. For independent artists to be able to just do that on their own.
Yeah.
Um, and when it comes to friends, family, and relationships with other artists, who's supported you the most throughout your journey? Oh, Ace, I can't hear you. Okay, now I
Sorry,
can. You're good.
I muted myself.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
okay.
that's one thing I really loved about the synthwave scene and the community, or synth fam or whatever.
Yeah.
That I like connecting with people, like in a real way, like not just collab, bro.
Bro talk.
Yeah, yeah, because I want to like talk about things and connect. Uh, so I've done a lot of that. Like I think I've talked to everyone in the scene. Like, uh, so there are so many people that have supported me, and I try to support them and all the groups and different programs and channels and podcasts. So it's hard to choose one. But we did this artist collective, Helsinki Synth City,
Mhm.
with which just before the pandemic we managed to have this Helsinki Synth Festival, which was huge success. There was well, obviously us, the Helsinki guys,
Mhm.
Levinsky, Millennium Falk, Runaway Droid, Kizunaut. My memory is so bad. I hope that was everyone.
You're okay.
Yeah, and Nina and Robert Parker were uh, the headliners
Oh my
from
god,
outside Finland.
awesome.
Yeah, and so I'd say that collective was really important to get things going locally. Obviously, it's now pretty slow with that one too because
Right.
of the pandemic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't name single individuals really.
I totally feel you on like connecting with people like on a genuine level. And I definitely feel that through the synth fam, like everybody's super willing to talk about what they're doing. Like I will message Neon Nox or like Orax and I'm like, hey, what's up? How are you doing? It's like, hey, good, how are you? And it's not
Yeah,
just small talk, I'll be like, what are you up to? Do you have something new or, whatever. And I enjoyed writing reviews for them and like the response that I got after writing the reviews, they're like, wow, it's so refreshing to have like an in-depth review. And it's just so satisfying as a fan too, like to be able to connect with you and, all these other people that don't have like a filter. You guys, you can just be yourself. And like most of the community are independent artists and independent labels.
yeah, and we have to remember that like an artist of my caliber or like a really small artist, really like no one in the synthwave genre should think of themselves as some kind of a big star,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like 100 times smaller than the biggest names, so it's not like I get fan mail every day or like I have to turn down interviews or something.
Yeah.
So if someone who likes my music sends me a message or even comments anything actually anywhere, I usually find that comment and I reply to it. So I really like to engage with the, because in the end I think that's the thing you will like remember from all this. It's not the view count on that YouTube video or like, because numbers are really, you start to kind of, you get used to it to certain scale, and you start to comparing yourself to the next milestone, like what if I had 50,000 listeners per month, because this guy has, and so in the end it's the one-on-one conversations and feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. And what has been your all-time favorite performance so far?
Well, it's the Helsinki Synth Festival, easily. It was just a sold out venue and so many people there, and it was just perfect. Everything went perfect. Well, there was one moment of horror in the sound check.
Yes, let's talk about it.
Yeah, because it was like Nina had just finished her sound check, and me and Millennium Falk were there, and I didn't have the power connected on my laptop.
Oh no.
Well, it was connected, but the power wasn't on the other side, so
Okay.
that causes some pretty severe issues on the hardware.
Uh,
Like we were like what's happening? Why it's not working? And well, the solution was pretty embarrassingly easy. But we were it wasn't fun like 2 hours before the event.
oh man.
But
No,
other than that, it was so perfect. It's ridiculous.
that's
Like
awesome. And at least the problem was it was a small
yeah,
solution
yeah,
to like a seemingly big problem.
Yeah,
Was it
exactly.
was it the power button? Did you forget to charge it?
Yeah.
And what does your ideal performance look, feel, and sound like?
Well, there has to be real people in the audience. I have to say. Uh, it doesn't need to be a big crowd. Um, just if the people are into it, like engaged in the front, that's enough. And if I hear my guitar leads, it's a plus. It's a big plus. So in my first shows, I didn't use the in-ear monitoring system.
Mhm.
So depending on the venue, I sometimes couldn't hear my leads that well.
Hey.
So it was interesting, but well, yeah, engaged audience. That's pretty much it.
Bit,
Because in the end, it's about the connection between the performer and the audience.
and so ideally, would it be a big venue or a small venue? Like, do you have a preference?
I don't have a preference for that. If it was way bigger, I would need to have other musicians on stage. Because, synthwave performances are like, someone put it harshly somewhere, that it's a guy dad dancing around a laptop.
God. Oh my God,
Yeah.
no.
So, well,
Why
well,
is
at
that
least
so
I have.
accurate?
Yeah, sometimes that's pretty accurate, I have to say. But if it's a bigger venue and stage, then I would at least have a drummer, like electric drum pads.
Yeah.
And well, I've had vocalist Millennium Falk has been on stage every time we played Never Surrender,
Mhm.
and I've always opened with that one, the set. So it really kind of dials in the energy you need. Like you're not that dancing around the lap, laptop in the.
I still have that in my head, and I'm like, oh fuck. I think it comes with the era of the '80s that okay, generally or on average, men already have families, so they're gonna be like dad bod dancing around a laptop. So I guess I
Yeah,
get
that dancing is a thing. Yeah,
it.
but
Yeah.
when you're playing an instrument, you kind of avoid that pitfall.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And like I think it's so amazing like having an added element to the live experience like a drummer because when I went to go see Perturbator live, he had a live drummer on tour with him and it
Yeah,
just really amplifies the experience on like a whole other level.
yeah. Actually, he's the one I got that idea from when
Yeah.
I saw him playing in a very big event in Poland, I think. I saw that the drum kit really brought something to the set. It just brings the energy and more movement and everything.
It
So if
really
it's just
does.
one guy with the keys, you kind of have to be some kind
I
of guitar.
mean, I mean, James Kent has so much energy live too. You know,
Yeah, he's very good in
he's
that at
up
that.
there, he's headbanging, he's like in it. You know, you see him like actively, and just moving with his own music and like amping up the crowd, and then the drummer is just doing his thing, and so yeah, it was
Yeah,
awesome.
actually, one more thing to the ideal
Yeah.
venue would be in this genre. You really need good lights and preferably smoke too.
Pyrotechnics.
Pyro would be a bonus. I haven't had them yet, but the more you have like smoke and mirrors,
Yeah, just
because
all of it.
yeah, if you had good lights and smoke and the guitar lights are lit and you have your Miami Vice blazer and shades. It's pretty okay from there. Like, just don't fuck up the notes too badly.
Right. You'll be so loud aesthetically that nobody's gonna
Yeah, yeah,
notice.
yeah, exactly.
And describe your process when it comes to producing music. Like, what are some absolute must dos, mentally, physically, and emotionally?
Mm, well, like I mentioned before, you have to start doing it from the place of creating your own stuff. Like, if whatever you feel that's in your head, you should just do that and not go through some top 10 of new retro way and pick all the arpeggios and bass lines from there, because I think you will lose your drive to do it at some point.
Mm-hmm.
At least I need to be, I need to feel that I'm creating something like honest stuff when I start to produce music. Actually, today I started a new track. I was forcing myself to, because I bought a new guitar.
Oh, yeah, I
I,
think I saw that post.
yeah, I was forcing myself to add it
Mm-hmm.
to one track, and it just didn't fit there really. And it's a good example when you try to force something, like from an external motivator, or how should I put it? But anyway, then I just said like, fuck it, I'll start a new track, and it felt so good. Like, I could immediately do like the intro and the first minute or so,
Nice.
because I just had this chord progression in my mind, and sometimes it just goes from there, like you're on autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
Until there comes this one decision point where you're like, is my snare good? Or and it's easy to get stuck to that one part. But
Right.
I think with some experience, I've learned that then you should just leave that as it is at that point, and ride the wave of the initial inspiration as far as you can. Like, build at least the sort of a skeleton for the different parts. And here's a break, and here's a drop, and here's a lead. It's so much easier than to fill in the stuff afterwards, like after you sleep a night or two,
Mm-hmm.
versus starting to mix that snare when you have 8 seconds of music. That's a sure way to abandon the track at some point and start a new one. So yeah.
It's kind of funny because like I've definitely tried to dabble. I have like a keyboard and that's it. And so whenever but I would never be able to like do what you do because I'm so self-critical all the time. I'm just like I'll just do like some keys or whatever and then I'll slip and I'll be like dang it and I just like I have Tourette's basically when I try to do it myself. So yeah, I would never be able to do it. So that's pretty amazing. Like just keep at it and like build onto it and have trust in the process.
Yeah, and you don't have to play it in perfectly. It's the idea.
Yeah.
You can click, you can use your mouse afterwards to make it perfect. So
Right. And in regards to your collaborative pieces, uh, what do you look for in another artist or vocalist that you're collaborating with, like before you decide to officially work with them?
well, some of my collabs have stemmed from just having a chat with another producer or vocalist, and the chemistry is just so good that we are like, we have to we have to collab, and it starts from there. But if I'm just looking for a vocalist, I usually have a pretty clear idea what kind of a voice I need, and I just start looking for, and it can be really painful. But with Come Alive, where
Mhm.
I found the vocalist outside of the synthwave
Mhm.
sphere, I just, when I heard her samples, it was like no brainer from there, and I think the result is amazing.
Yeah, that's the perfect example too. Come Alive has just like such a powerful feeling to it. That's it. Just sort of kind of surpasses everything. You know, when you hear her and she.
Yeah, and the saxophone by
Oh
Elias.
yeah, oh yeah.
So it's basically, the track is like those two,
Mm.
and I try not to ruin it with my contribution. So, but fortunately, I didn't, and it's a solid track.
I mean, more
It's my
sex
actually,
is always good. So
yeah, it might be my favorite of the tracks I've made.
for good reason. For good reason. And what other genres get your attention and admiration? And have you dabbled with any of them?
Yeah, actually, the variety of music I listen to is really strange and wide. Like there's black metal and anime music
Mhm.
and smooth jazz and ambient, some progressive house music, hip hop. Mm, I think I try to use all of those influences in my music. Like, well, I think the stuff I listen to is pretty nerdy, if you have to sum it up. Like power metal.
Mhm.
I think it's more of a European thing, like Dragon Force, and those high-pitched vocals and lyrics are about swords and dragons. But I like the melodies and harmonies usually in those.
Yeah,
And actually, you can find those same harmonies in game music, especially Japanese gaming music.
which is the best gaming music,
Uh,
typically.
yeah. They've done it pretty well since the 8-bit era.
Yeah, right. And what other like universal issues resonate with you that your music reflects or resolves? So like think about a time you were heavily impacted and what did music help you to reach or soothe or sustain? Like what music do you reach for when it comes to soothing that and matching the mood?
Yeah, well, I would form it that way that having a music project that you're serious about, and if you have it long enough to go through all the ups and downs and mental challenges it brings, it's actually, I think no one knows it when they start with the project, but you start to face a lot of your like own issues and stuff when you work on the music, and you have the lows and highs, and I would say I try to channel those things when I make music. So like, if I'm having some kind of like anxiety or some strong emotion that I feel I need to get out in some way, even
Hmm.
though I don't make like aggressive and dark sounding music, but I think it can get out with the saxophones
It's
and,
like
and
brooding Buchanan.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So it's therapy for me, and it's a it sounds a cliche, but it's a journey when you're long enough in a music project. Like releasing one album is a big challenge. I have huge respect for everyone who's done that. But then releasing a second album, it's somehow a lot more difficult. I took my sweet time with both of those albums, like 2 years per album. Hopefully, the next one is faster. But yeah, it, well, that topic is really deep, like
yeah,
creating music and the universal issues and where does it come from, and
yeah. It's a deep question. It's one of my deeper questions.
yeah.
So yeah, and what is the best advice that you can give to aspiring music artists?
Well, first and foremost, don't compare yourself to others. Don't compete with others. It's your thing, it's your journey, and it's what you have to say with your art. No one else can have exactly the same set of influences, strengths, flavors, and set of talents that one person has. So if you want numbers like followers, stream count, and stuff, those should be the result, the end result of you doing your thing,
Right.
not like how could I get to these numbers? What sounds and what style would I need to get to these numbers? Because you just can't get to those numbers from the
It's a
get-go.
losing battle. It's a losing
Yeah,
battle from the beginning if you start
yeah,
competing with other people who are like, you know,
yeah. Because there's always the guy that you actually Spotify for artists has this thing where you can compare yourself with other artists directly.
wow.
Like it's the service where an artist can see how many streams and followers and listeners he has in Spotify.
Uh-huh.
So that's you really shouldn't use that comparison at all.
Yeah, that's like a
Because it-
feature that you shouldn't have.
yeah, yeah. Because if I type, for example, the Midnight or
Right.
Carpenter Brut or something, then
Hmm.
my graph becomes like 2 pixels.
So true. Like, it's just so weird, like, how they would even implement that as a feature. Like, hey, you want to feel worse about yourself? We got you. Like, let's
Yeah, yeah.
just.
That's kind of strange because I know people who watch those every day.
What?
Like you'll
Why?
just suddenly hear that he tells you that your streams got higher yesterday. Okay, so you compare our streams daily or what?
Right.
So yeah, that's poison because sometimes your stream count can go really low if, for example, you lose your place on a playlist. Like sometimes you may have a track on as the first track on a popular playlist, and
Hmm.
obviously your play count will rocket for a few weeks or something.
Hmm.
And you should just be really objective about it. Like what is the reason for that? Because it can get depressing when you're progressing to the wrong direction, so to speak.
Right. Right. And it's like that number is never going to be the same, like consistently. It's going to go up and down, you
Yeah,
know? So, like, trying to find consistency in something that's not meant to be is like kind of beating a dead horse, so to speak.
yeah, exactly. And when you keep doing it for like 2 years or so, you can see the overall trend, the baseline go up. like with all the ups and downs, you can see that the baseline always goes higher. It never drops like lower than what the baseline is. So you
Right.
should maybe if you want to look for something in the graph, you should look at that baseline.
Gotcha. And what was your, let me see. Sorry, I had to scroll down. What hobbies do you enjoy outside of being a guitar slinging synth star? God, I'm such a freaking nerd.
Well, this year I've gotten into some woo-woo stuff.
Yes.
So, so I'm well. The normal hobbies are tennis, for example. I play tennis, and I do the normal jogging and gym and that stuff. But this year I've gotten into Wim Hof method, which is basically, it sounds more woo than it is. It's basically a breathing technique. It takes like 10 to 15 minutes, and
Okay.
there's actual science and research on it. It's not nothing to do with any religions or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And you take cold showers or swim in cold water like I did today. And
I'm
it's been really,
familiar.
yeah, it's been really beneficial for me to stay productive and deal with the stress with the day job. I'm a programmer by day. And sometimes if you have a lot going on with your music project and with your day job and perhaps something else in your life
Mm-hmm.
that you're dealing with, then things can get really rough.
Mm-hmm.
They were pretty rough actually at the beginning of the year. So that's one reason I picked up all this. I tried different stuff and it's working, I think.
That's good. That's good. No, I'm familiar with it. Ice baths and whatnot. And
Yeah.
like, there are like, I think it's cryotherapy
Yeah.
clinics
Yeah.
too, where like people will like go inside of a thing and feel like an ice cube for about 10 minutes. So, no, I get it. I get it. And in regards to that, what do you feel you've benefited from the most in practicing that? Like, how does it make you feel like after an ice bath? Like energized, or you're like, why the fuck did I do this?
Well, for sure, it energizes you. It's like drinking 5 espressos without the caffeine
Oh,
overload.
wow.
And I think the long-term effect is that you get really you get to know your like breathing, and that way. This sounds so cliche again, but you're getting more touch with your like body-mind connection
Mm.
because you know how you react to that kind of sort of extreme uh, physical sensation, and you can deal with it repeatedly every day. So I think it lowers your stress levels when you face something like a tough spot in your work life or something.
For sure. And when it comes to the retro futuristic influence and aesthetic, what does 2070 look like to you?
2070, well, I have to be boring, and probably looks like the game Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, how's that boring?
Well, yeah, well, I'm waiting. Actually, one of my hobbies is gaming when I
Yeah,
have time for it. Sometimes I just decide like I want to do any music for the next 2 weeks. I will play.
just
I will
game.
finish Witcher 3, which I did
Nice.
July, and yeah, I'm a gamer, and I will upgrade my gaming rig in when they release the Cyberpunk game, and then I will be off radar for 2 months or so.
Undetermined amount of time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm excited for that game too. It's just like everything about it. And it's been like, oh my gosh, the hype over it has been going on for years. and now it's finally like on the cusp of actually being released.
Yeah, I think it's like 7 years or something.
Yeah, insane. And what is your favorite retro movie and video game?
Well, in movies, it has to be Ghost in the Shell, the original animation movie from
Yes.
'95. That aesthetic is definitely something that influences my music. Like there are cyborgs and like maybe a bit of a Japanese flair to it,
Hmm.
but not too much. You have to be careful with that. Like
Yeah.
you can't turn into a weeb anime person. So there are some pitfalls there. So, but yeah, if I had to name one, it's Ghost in the Shell. And for gaming, I don't- there are not so many great retro futuristic games. But for Cyberpunk, I think I can't pronounce it, but Deus Ex,
Hmm.
it's for PC.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
it's a very nerdy series, but definitely that one is my favorite Cyberpunk game so far.
Awesome.
So it's Deusex.
I'll have to look into it for sure.
Yeah.
Which obscure indie artist is your favorite? And do you have any modern Billboard favorites?
Well, I know some people hate the Weeknd in the scene. It's very
Okay.
controversial anytime mainstream artist makes synthwave for some reason.
Hmm.
But I like those. I like those tracks, like there's
Me
saxophone,
too.
good vocals, all the good stuff, the sweet arpeggios. So definitely, I think it's a good thing that we have those elements in the mainstream too. It makes this genre maybe a bit less nerdy and niche. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. It's like it's important to have at least somebody is there representing,
yeah,
even though maybe like he hasn't officially been like these are my influences, like this is where I get my like there's a whole genre by the way called
yeah,
synthwave,
yeah, yeah. That would be actually one cool thing that one of those artists actually like name dropped at least
Yes, that would
some of
be
the names.
awesome.
Yeah, because it's basically the same synth sounds and everything.
Right. And
Like especially when
Gesaffelstein, go ahead.
yeah when David Guetta made the pretty crappy synthwave track this week I think or last week.
Yeah.
Like most of the guys make better stuff than he did, but
Right.
at least he used actually his visual artist for the single cover art was from the synthwave scene.
Hmm.
I can't remember the name,
That's
but,
okay.
but he's from the scene, so maybe that's a step to the right direction.
For sure. So your favorite indie artist. So we named The Weeknd as like your top modern artist. So what's
Yeah.
maybe like a more obscure artist that not a lot of people know about that you really like?
What? Uh,
You're like, which
some of them
one?
are pretty embarrassing.
What? No, don't be embarrassed.
Well, I think most of them are actually from synthwave. Like my recent favorite is one called Pilot.
Oh yes, I love Pilot. Yes.
Yeah, I heard his, I think, latest single. I'm really bad with remembering names, so I'm not sure. I will actually quickly check it from here.
Okay, sure.
1 second.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah,
Pilot
so
did a collaboration with Sunset Neon that was really good.
I have to listen to that one. Yeah, The Return is the track I'm thinking. Pilot,
Right.
The Return.
While you're doing
It's
that, I'm going to check the comments. Go ahead.
yeah, it's just perfect production and sound choices, and he's really up there with like Mitch Murder level stuff, I think. So I stole some of his I bought his tracks to use as a reference for mixing,
Nice.
especially the low end. Like that track has one part where these are these short kind of stabs or short chords, where the low end is really juicy and really everything is perfectly in balance. So the only thing I might be doing better than Pilot on a very good day would be impactful melodies and hooks. That's the thing I'm good at. But when I hear his stuff, I realize that I can't mix or produce.
You're like, damn it, damn you,
Yeah,
Pilot.
yeah. Like how does he do that?
Yeah, he's impressive for sure.
Yeah, and when you hear stuff like that, you have to just get inspired and motivated by it.
Right, right. That's important. And let's see, what is your favorite quote? Like, what's a quote that you maybe visit when you really need it?
Well, I I was trying to pick something for this. I don't know. I would say my favorite book these days
Mm,
I just finished is Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. It's perfect for when you have to kind of pull yourself out of a rough patch.
mhm.
And it's full of great quotes, which I, of course, can't remember at all right
That's
now.
okay.
But
I
just
mean,
Google Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins quotes. I
yeah,
will. I can sign all of those. So
awesome. uh, and what book has dramatically impacted you? Would it be that one, or is there like another that you can think of?
yeah, there was this one called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, which actually helped me to get over the trying to make everything perfect before releasing. Because it's all about, the book is about the resistance that you create yourself for not creating and
Right.
releasing art. So I recommend that one to everyone, every writer or producer or
Yeah, I'm gonna need that one.
casting director. Yeah, you could benefit from it too.
For sure. Like writing, it just, I think we were talking earlier about how music is your outlet. And for me, it's writing. So, like, my fiction is super dark and like horrifying. And like, I have these really freaky plot twists all the time. And that's me putting my darkness on paper is like the equivalent of you putting that emotion and the brooding into your music. So it's been therapeutic for me too.
Yeah, for sure. I think writing is pretty close to producing music.
Mm.
And well, in the end, I think when you're when your life is over almost, and you think back and look at what you've done, I think no one regrets creating stuff and putting it out there.
For sure.
Like you won't be thinking the numbers and your bank account or what have you.
Right. That's a legacy that goes with you, even when you're gone.
Yeah,
So that's a piece of you that somebody's always going to have.
yeah, and that's kind of my mission with this project. I just want to I want my music to impact people in a positive way.
It does.
Like I don't make the whiny stuff. Like
The whiny emo stuff.
there's a place for that. I listen to some of that stuff too, but I couldn't make it now. Like I would feel, I don't know. Like if I have a problem, I'm already, fucked up enough to. I don't want to like amplify it.
Right. And uh, something that I really appreciate out of synthwave is the lyricless, like instrumental pieces, because you can place your own inner, like emotional lyrics into it, or you can make it the mood of your emotions, basically, as you're listening to it. At least that's how I feel. If I'm listening to something that's really heavy bass and like energetic, that I take on that energy, and it
Yeah,
just
I
feels
think.
right.
Yeah, I think synthwave. The one part of it is that it's very soundtrack like. So you can create your own imaginary scenarios, or you can have it as a background music when you're facing, like you're working out or working on a project, or
Or you're fighting bad guys, or
yeah, in real life.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe Carpenter Brute would be
Oh
great for
my
that.
god, Carpenter Brute would be like Halloween gone wrong, you know,
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly. Yeah.
That would meet a very bloody end. Uh, and does your guitar have a name yet?
It does, but it's not public yet.
It's not public yet. Okay,
Yeah.
fair
I
enough.
actually have him here with
Aw,
me.
sweet.
So
I'm all like, oh, like it's a pet.
so he's
uh,
sleeping.
he's, he's sleeping and he's down for his nap.
Yeah.
And what artists would you love to work with collaboratively? Like, who would you want to open for at a concert?
Yeah, I'm really bad in asking like bigger artists to work with me.
Mhm.
Excuse me. I've actually never asked a bigger artist to collab. Maybe that's a Finnish thing. Like don't mind me. And if yeah,
Well, if you
but
did, let's say one day you were feeling real brave and you decided to
well,
contact somebody, who
well,
would it be?
there's one that we've already agreed. Like, yeah, we definitely will will collab, and that's Phaserland from
Hmm,
Detroit.
nice.
Like he's one of the first guys I heard, and his style is pretty close to the Mitch Murder, Laserhawk, and that era. Even though his sound has evolved too with his new albums, but
Mhm.
we both been like, yeah, let's collab.
Yeah,
So it's agreed on already.
awesome. Then you'll have to ask Mitch Murder whenever live concerts are going on again.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's kind of a hermit. Like he doesn't play live shows that much.
Oh, okay. Man.
Maybe he will someday. I don't know.
Yeah,
If he does,
maybe.
I will go and see him because he's one of the OGs.
For sure. For sure. And let me just check the comments really quick. Let's see if we have some questions that we can ask. Does anybody else have a question? Feel free to put it in the comments below for me. I
I
do
don't.
see one here, and it says, Ace, will you learn saxophone? Oh, you muted yourself again.
Sorry.
You're okay.
Yeah, definitely. I've been thinking of that actually. If I learn another instrument, it would be saxophone for sure. It would be. I regret not picking it up like earlier because it. I think the most expressive lead instruments are guitar and saxophone.
For sure.
But some people hate saxophone, by the way.
What? That's
Yeah,
so
some
hard to
people. Yeah,
believe.
Yeah, when Come Alive came out, some people are like, yeah, it's pretty good, but I can't stand saxophone. Like, what?
Well, you suck at life. Bye.
You failed at
You
life.
fail. This is
Oh
why you
well,
don't make music.
yeah. Well, everyone has their tastes,
I
and
know. I'm
it's
just
okay.
kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just a bully. Um, any chance of you performing in the USA? Justin is asking, and the first question was Kristen.
Yeah, I would love to play in the US, but I don't think Trump has made it next to impossible for indie artists to perform legally in the US.
I mean,
I
he's made it
actually,
impossible for
yeah,
everything.
I
Yeah.
looked into it and it's really, really hard.
Wow.
If I find some loopholes to do it or something magical happens, then I would really love that.
Yes. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Um, maybe just wait until November. We'll see who gets elected.
Yeah, yeah, that might have.
Yeah. um, someone had the same question. It was Michael. He said, "Would you ever tour the USA? Maybe like where would you go? Like where? What would be the ideal location for a US tour? You can name multiple, not just one."
Well, I have to say Miami would be pretty synthwave.
Yes.
I think it's the capital in the
I used to
in
live
the
there.
aesthetics. Really?
Yeah, I love it aesthetically. Everybody's very much you wherever you go, you have to look sexy. Doesn't matter where you're going. Literally, there was one night where me and my husband went to Denny's and it was really late at night and everybody looked like they just came from a club, like a nightclub. I was like, what the fuck is this? This
Yeah.
is like my first time in Miami. So yeah, everybody there is all about like, the aesthetics of like themselves. And some of them are a little bit like center of the universe, but everybody has like, there's like a no filter kind of culture there. And then,
Yeah, I
yeah.
I actually visited Miami once.
Yeah. How was your
Yeah.
experience?
Well, pretty good, but I agree there is definitely the side of the superficial side of it.
Yes.
Like I didn't even try to get into the clubs. Like it seemed like a impossible process.
You're like, I don't know if I want to deal with you
Yeah,
guys at the
yeah,
nightclub. I'm seeing how you act outside of the nightclub.
yeah.
Not
Like
sure if I want to know.
I just get drunk at the beach, talk to people. It was
Nice.
fun too. Like there
Nice.
are some real people as well.
Awesome. Let's see. Let's see if we can get one more. Uh, what's your favorite track that you've ever made? That comes from Michael.
Is it Michael Shadow?
Yes, it's Michael Shadow.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, he's backing me up. So
Nice.
there, at least one person.
No, there's
Um,
there's a couple others.
okay, I can see it. I have to say, Come Alive.
Yeah.
Like definitely not Buns of Steel.
Really?
It's the most popular track, but
Buns of
come on.
Steel's really energetic.
Yeah, it's a good track, but I don't think it's the best.
So
Work
then,
yeah.
which one? What is that? The one you would say is maybe your least favorite? Do you have a least favorite?
No, actually, I don't hate any of my tracks because
Well, of course, because it's yours. It's your child.
yeah, and one reason I don't release that often is that I have to love the track before I put it out there. Like
Yes.
I don't release fillers. Like it would be easy to put out an EP with 5 fillers and one good track or something.
Yeah.
I just don't want. I don't like the idea of music being out there that I don't really resonate with.
You
Like
ever
I would
get?
have to Don't listen to that one.
You ever get that feeling when you like maybe you don't have to answer this question, but like do you ever get that feeling whenever you hear somebody else's it's like what is this? What is this? you know?
Well, yeah. Well, sometimes I've talked to a producer that has said that, well, I just put out this EP with sort of B-sides,
Hmm.
Then I advised him that don't do it.
Right.
You will regret it because it feels good to release music. Like you'll get the feedback and the hype and the buzz, you know.
Right.
And you can get kind of hooked to it. Like when you release an album and it gets good feedback, you're like, well, let's do another one, like quickly.
Yeah.
I need my fix of
Dopamine.
dopamine and validation, and
Yeah.
that's actually one pitfall you can get lost in is the validation.
Right. For sure. Let's see if we can find us. Justin says, Buns of Steel is my favorite.
Yeah, it's okay that it's your favorite.
That's okay. That could be your favorite.
Yeah, I will play it in every show. I'm pretty sure. Like I usually end with Mounds of Steel
Nice, nice.
because it gives a nice touch to the or actually Mounds of Steel or Breakout.
Both good
The
tracks.
Breakout intro is good for switching off your guitar and
Just letting the
oh,
laptop take over.
yeah, then I just don't
Then
mind
your
me.
dad dancing around your laptop.
Don't mind me. I'm just folding up my laptop here, so it's over now.
You just stretch and you press play. So my husband is here representing. He says, "Is there another genre that you would want to work on or work like I don't know, maybe release?"
Yeah, that's a good topic because during the last year or so, I don't want to do only synthwave forever.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a bad thing to be labeled on one genre. Like when synthwave would go down, you would go down with it,
Right.
So I think I have some tracks that have elements of. Well, I think cyberpunk is sort of its own genre. Like it started from synthwave, but
Mm-hmm.
I think cyberpunk could be its own thing. So my next release is all about that.
I'm
Like
excited.
yeah, I've released 2 singles, the Defy the Seekers and Cyberloop. Those are a bit more of that harsh cyberpunk sound, but of course I will keep my basic influences and elements there. So you recognize it's Buchannon track. So maybe that's the thing that I want to keep, that it's my sound, that you can recognize it. But I feel I could make any genre, like power metal or well, Never Surrender is kind of rock in a way, AOR.
Right.
So yeah, I'm open for any. There might be even rap coming
Really?
with yeah, with Mark Cooper. We've been talking. So
That sounds
he
awesome.
actually he released a really cool track a few days ago of Cobra Kai, the TV series.
Yes. Love Cobra Kai.
Yeah, and it has guitars by Runaway Droid, another Finnish dude.
Mm-hmm.
So go check out Mark Cooper, Cobra Kai.
I will, for sure.
And I think his artist name is Player One, so maybe you can
Player
find it.
One.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's really good, really solid.
Sweet.
I forgot the question though, but
No, you're good.
yeah.
Derailing is recommended. We're good.
Yeah.
We're good. And what are you currently working on?
Well, too many things. I said yes to too many things when I had more time in my summer holidays, and now I'm in trouble with all of those. And One of them was the track that I tried to force guitar on it, which I kind of put it on the back burner for now and started to make more cyberpunk tracks for the next EP or album. I think it will be an album in the end. Like, when you have finished 5 tracks, you're like, why wouldn't I make 3 more
Right.
tracks, an album? So
Right.
actually, the artwork is already done. It's again the same guy, Atom Cyber, the French dude.
Mm-hmm.
And this time it's really well. It's every time I love his work, but this time it's like really, really, really cool. But I have to make the music first. So
Well, like I love your album artwork, and it's so reminiscent of the Ghost in the Shell aesthetic, and
yeah. It has like elements of that, but it also looks like Atom Cyber, like the French touch on it. And I think it fits the music too. Like it has this Ghost in the Shell influences, but also these European strange mix of things.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we're nearing the end. The last question would be, what is one thing you would say to your audience and fan base?
Well,
Or at least to the people watching this stream, because there's like 10 people.
to my audience, well, there's so many things I would like to tell them of. I think I would go with a positive message that I try to bring with my music. That to me personally, it's the best thing if you use my music to fuel something you are trying to achieve in life, like your own project or trying to work out or better yourself. And if you use my music as the soundtrack, that's the best thing for me. That's why I make this stuff.
Awesome. That's a good message. Very positive. So I just want to thank everybody for watching the stream, asking your questions, and interacting with us here. And well, that concludes this Q&A. Thank you so much, Ace, for being here and for answering the deep questions. I'm so glad we were able to do this together, and we'll have to do this again.
Yeah, like first I had some notes, but when this started, I just threw the notes away.
You're just like, whatever. No, that's good. We got the authenticity out, so we're good. I'm happy.
Yeah, awesome. Actually, I like this one because I like to talk about creation and the struggles and that kind of stuff more deeply. So when you have that podcast, you can invite me there, right?
Yes, absolutely. I will invite you to the podcast. And great. I think it's such a missing element. Fans more than ever want to know more and more about what their artists are doing and what they're thinking. So I am glad to provide that.
And you have some artists lined up for next episode?
You have a question for me?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I reached out to Ghost, and so I might actually be having him on very soon. Waiting for just like an email back in regards to setting up a perfect day for next week. So we'll see. I'm excited though. I have some interesting questions for him too. It's like a completely different vibe. So
yeah, your questions are great. So just keep at it.
I will. Thank you for that dopamine and validation.
Yeah, from those. It's the main thing for every producer.
For sure. All right. Well, thank you again, and take care, and stay cool, stay fresh.
All right. My pleasure, and it was great. So, see you on your podcast.
Yes. All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.